since we're talking about men, why don't we define that a little bit? Talk about that. So I asked ChatGPT, what is a man? And
Read that.
And ChatGPT goes, a man is someone who aligns power with principle, who carries weight, doesn't flee from discomfort, and builds more than he consumes.
Okay.
Not by domination, but by discipline, not by force, but by presence. Well, anyway.
I think those are some key words, not by force, but by presence. That's right in line with what, I was just mentioning. Not, there's the bullying factor, and we pretty much, do it to ourselves where, we can be present and not 100%, but, I always think of the body maybe starting as a different point of therapeutically,
Right.
If we're present with our current self, human beings very interesting. We can't just simply look at ourselves as muscles and bones and our nervous system. There is a human condition in there. We have a soul. So where is that presence as a part of the preamp before we get out and do the things that we got to do? In the medical field, if it's clinical setting, we would call that a diagnosis. It's like, hey, I'm going to just have a little check-in here. Well, psychologically, we can do that too. And this is really why I chose the field of massage therapy over chiropractic. I always wanted to be able to take into account the human condition. And through soft tissue, we tend to carry our armor a little more, and that's a technical term for unexpressed emotions. So if somebody's armored, for example, a typical spot might be the upper traps, and I would put my hand on it and I could feel maybe just it'd be like solid as a rock. And I would dig a little bit. If I found that, and I don't mean that physically, I would actually be asking, important questions, subjective and objective, and find my way to this human, in front of me and say, hey, hey, you do have a lot of things going on. That's either new stress, eustress, or distress. Distress is a part of 80% of all human disorder. So what if it's not distress? What if it's just something new going on in their life that they're excited about, but their body is holding in and they need to get out? Well, I have to factor that into a physical program if things are to be therapeutic and go somewhere that's going to help them function later. If it's eustress and something's happening in the world, which these days, a lot of that we take on, and with constant information coming in front of our eyes with social medias, we got to be aware of all those things.